I was watching an interview with Dan Fogelman, the writer and creator of the TV shows This Is Us and Paradise. He said he had the idea for Paradise 10 years ago. And for some reason, that just stuck with me because almost immediately, a script I put down 2 or 3 years ago came back to mind. And this time, I finally understood what the story was about. You see, most writers don't stop writing because they run out of ideas. They stop because something in the story stops working and they don't know how to fix it. Hello, fiction babes and storytellers. Welcome to Habits of a Writer, the podcast where we talk about the good habits that lead to a finished manuscript. I'm your host, Portia, novelist, indie author of two published novels, and currently editing the next one. It's a pre apocalypse story. There was a song playing. I had the vision. I started writing. I made notes, built characters, sketched out somewhat of a plot. I got about 70 pages in, and then nothing. The story just stopped moving. So I did what a lot of us do. I moved on to the next idea, then the next one. But I never stopped thinking about that story. How many how many unfinished stories do you have sitting in your cloud drive? Mine, I can count on one hand. My number is four. Four stories I started, got into the middle, and didn't know how to move forward. And what I've learned is this: stories don't stall because your ideas run out. They stall because something underneath the story hasn't been fully understood yet. And until you understand that, the story can't move forward. So let's talk about why that happens. When I went back and looked at that story, I had to ask myself a different question. Not what happens next, but what did I miss? And the first thing I noticed was this: I thought I knew my character. I knew how his story started. I knew the situation he was in, but I didn't actually understand what needs to change in him. Sometimes we'll also call it the change or die moment. And if I don't understand the change, the story has nowhere to go. So let me ask you, not just what your protagonist wants, but what is going to force them to become someone different. Then I noticed something else. I didn't know where the story was going. I had a strong beginning, I had momentum, but I didn't have a clear destination. And eventually, the story just ran out of direction. I always think about it like a map. You can start driving with no destination for a little while, but eventually, you're going to have to stop and ask, where am I actually going? And that's where I was in this story. But this was the one that really made me sit back. I was keeping my protagonist safe. I wasn't letting him make the hard decisions. And because he wasn't moving, the story wasn't moving either. I had written him into a place where nothing could really challenge him. And if nothing challenges your character, the story ends right there. So maybe the real question in the middle of your story is this: what decision is your character avoiding? And then this is where everything shifted for me. I guess this was my aha moment. I realized I didn't actually understand what my story was about. I thought I did. I thought it was about the end of the world, but it wasn't. It was about the humans being the aliens and what happens when the original race comes back to take their home back. And when I saw that, everything changed because now I wasn't just writing scenes. I understood what the story was trying to say. And this is what I've learned about the stories that stall. It's usually not the writing. It's just something underneath the story just hasn't been fully understood. And once you realize that, the pressure to figure it out starts to change because now you're not forcing the next scene. You're trying to understand the story. And the way you do that is by asking better questions. When I sat back down with that story, I didn't open a new chapter. I opened a blank page and I started asking, why does he want this? Really? What is he trying to prove? And what is it costing him to keep believing that? Why this path? why now? And if he actually gets what he wants, what does that change about him? And maybe the most important question, why does this story matter to my protagonist? And honestly, why does it matter to me? You see, you don't need a new idea. You need a deeper understanding of the one you already have. And that starts with sitting with it long enough to ask the right questions. And this is what I want to explore over the next few episodes: how to keep going when your story feels like it's going nowhere. Not by starting over, but by going deeper. Your habit this week: open your cloud drive. Choose one story you walked away from, read it, and then start asking better questions, starting with, why does this story matter? Your story isn't over. It's waiting for you to understand what it's trying to tell you. Hey, if you're new here and looking for tips on writing and building habits for a sustainable writing routine, then I'm so glad we found each other. I'll be here every Tuesday with a new episode. Make sure you hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss out. And if this episode encouraged you, then share it with another writer friend who needs the encouragement also. Again, my name is Portia Vet, and this is Habits of a Writer.